everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending my session today. My name is Mohamad Iyad-Enhancing. I am currently a civil engineering instructor at the Australian University of Kuwait and pursuing my PhD at Aalborg University. Today, I will be presenting an ongoing project back in the Australian University in Kuwait, which is entitled Enhancing Construction Site Safety Using AI, the development of a custom YOLO V8 model for PPE compliance detection. So the agenda is I will quickly walk you through the introduction. What are the motivations behind this project? We will move on into the research objective. What are we aiming to achieve? How are we going to achieve it through the methodology, some results, and some concluding remarks. So let me start by assuming that probably most of us are coming from the construction sector with a substantial amount of industry experience. And I can assume that all of us experienced how dynamic the construction sector can be, right? Workers are continuously exposed to physically straining activities. They are exposed to hazardous situations that put them into under severe conditions. And because of that, unfortunately, the construction sector has been ranked as one of the top sectors where a lot of accidents happen. So if we look at the statistics, we see that around 3,247 fatal accidents happened in 2021 back in Europe. 22.5% is attributed to the construction sector, which is the highest percentage among all the different industries. 3,152 fatal accidents, non-fatal accidents in the construction in Europe as well. So we might be asking ourselves, what are these most common accidents that are happening? Well, the number one accidents that we see pioneering, unfortunately, is falling from heights. We also see slips, trips, and getting struck by incidents. We see falling objects, and we also see wounds, sprains, and strains. While wounds might be attributed to, for example, misuse of equipment, we see sprains and strains, which is another category here, where we also see a high work-related musculoskeletal disorders among construction workers. What are the reasons behind this? The closer I am, the better. So what are the reasons behind these accidents? Well, we can say number one is definitely lack of fall protection. We see, especially in small to medium enterprise companies, and especially where I come from Kuwait, we see a lot of workers, cutting costs by trying to reduce the safety protocols in a way that they could improve productivity, but then it turns back on them. We also see that there is a lot of lack of housekeeping. Again, I'm talking about small to medium enterprise companies. We still see that those contractors try to neglect housekeeping, thinking that it could also improve their productivity. We also see unsafe equipment, so workers or maintenance engineers tend to unregularly check the current status of the equipment being used. Ignored safety protocols, unsecured tools, all these are common problems that can or maybe might be mitigated if proper personal protective equipment is used. But then if that's the case, why do we still have problems? And again, back where I was working as a construction engineer, a site engineer back in Kuwait, I had a lot of problems with workers adhering to the safety protocols. I was running after each and every worker, making sure that he's wearing his helmet, making sure he's wearing his gloves, his shoes. Again, there is some negligence towards wearing PPE. Of course, one of the causes behind this is discomfort. So they tend to feel like it's kind of annoying and they just want to take it off. It is counterproductive. Another thing is the perceived inconvenience, again, which falls again to the discomfort part. They feel like if I take it off, I can be more productive. And again, back in Kuwait, most of the workers are getting paid on an hourly basis, so the more they complete, the more money they would get. So they always feel that these equipment kind of hinders their productivity. Lack of awareness. Again, this is a problem that can be improved through campaigns and trainings. False sense of security and heat climate. I mean, Kuwait has a temperature of, in summers, of 50 degrees and above, and we tend to have workers regularly taking their helmets off, which I kind of understand, but you know, we still need to care about their lives. Based on the non-compliance to PPE, some statistics show that 70% of the fatal accidents involved workers not wearing PPE. And out of that, we also see around 9,000 accidents in the UK happening in the construction sector, primarily because of non-PPE compliance. We also see that there are around 49% of fatal accidents happening because of falling objects. So I would assume if someone was wearing a helmet, probably this number would have been much lower. How can we solve this problem, or what are the possible solutions that we can use? Well, one of the direct solutions we think of is improving the comfort of the material, of the equipment. So we can design or redesign the PPE equipment in a way that maybe cause some sort of an attachment to the worker, so he is kind of attached to some sense of belonging, could be a possible solution. We also need to ensure that small to medium enterprise companies are well aware of the safety protocols and ensure that they supply the required PPE under some government governance. Of course, fostering a safety culture. But one of the most common or possible solutions that we decided to look at is basically monitoring compliance. Currently, the general practice that we see is monitoring compliance through manual inspections. So we would usually have a safety engineer visiting the sites on a regular basis, making sure that the workers are complying, or someone like me running after the workers, making sure that they are wearing their equipment. Is it practical? Well, it is practical to some sort of, to some extent, but once the safety engineer leaves the site, again, you might see that the workers tend to remove their helmets or remove their shoes or whatever it may be. So this Hawthorne effect, or the theory of Hawthorne, where he says that being observed is you kind of change your behavior. So once you know that there is someone monitoring you all the time, you tend to perform or show the best out of you. We thought of something else. We said, why not we automate the process of inspection? And thanks to the development of artificial intelligence and the advancements of models like YOLO V8, you only look once, we decided to use this model, a convolutional neural network, that can easily be fine-tuned in a way, or retrained in a way that it can detect whatever we are aiming for it to achieve. So we decided to conduct this exploratory study where we aim to look at if fine-tuned object detection models, specifically the YOLO V8, is efficient and effective in identifying safety equipment. So initially, we decided to look at safety helmets, shoes, and vests. What we basically did is basically retrain the model by collecting a data set of around 4,000 photos. The majority of the photos, approximately 70%, was used to train the model, while the other part was used for the validation. We used a software called Label IMG using some Python coding. We were able to divide transfer the images to a format understandable by YOLO V8. We did around 5 classes. So the first class was helmets, vests, safety shoes, and then we also created the versa, so the vice versa. So no helmets, no safety shoes, and no vests. And we trained this model for approximately 100 epochs. The results were quite promising in relation to the validation. We saw that we achieved a recall of around 92% and a precision of 89%. We also noticed that after 46 epochs, there wasn't any significant improvement in the model. and the model training was stopped at 96th epochs. Beyond that, we see that the algorithm tends to overfit. But the most important part is the results and how the results reflect. So what we did, we also tested the model against 300 images, and we see that it is quite accurate in detecting helmets and vests, but not so good in safety shoes. And that's because safety shoes they take different shapes and designs and different colors. So one of the limitations here is that we need to increase the data set for the safety shoes in a way that it could encompass a higher number. Unfortunately, we were unable to test it in sites, and this brings me to the next steps. One of the main issues that we're facing is the ethical approvals. A lot of construction companies are very hesitant to have these cameras installed in their sites. They're either skeptical that they don't want to be monitored, or they are kind of afraid that we could use these videos against them, because we also see a lot of safety violations back in the small to medium enterprise companies. So this is one of the limitations we're facing. Another issue we're looking at is to basically optimize the model. Currently, we have also added around 3,000 new photos. We introduced, of course, fall protection. I guess someone has in mind, well, you said that fall protection was number one, and then you are looking at different things. Well, we also have added the fall protection equipment, so the safety lanyard and safety harness. And this is where we are not only looking at whether the worker is wearing it correctly, but whether he is actually hooking the lanyard to the guardrails. Of course, ethical is always the problem in regards to AI. So we also need to ensure that the data set is diverse enough to avoid any bias. And by that, I asked ChatGPT its opinion on what they think about AI compliance, and what do they think about using AI as a safety engineer walking around. And they said, using AI to monitor PPE compliance is like having a safety superhero on duty, 24/7. Always vigilant, never distracted, and ensuring everyone stays protected. So I guess he wants to take our job. Thank you so much.